Hey, Systemic Formulas. I am here with Beth Schupanitz out in Minneapolis, or a suburb just outside of Minneapolis, Minnesota. And Beth is a certified health coach as well as an energy response testing practitioner. And there's a lot I've learned from her in terms of what she's been able to do for GI specific protocols and other protocols for her clients that I think all of us can take home and learn from. Share with us just a little bit more what your focuses are as a practitioner with your clients.
Sure. Well, when I first started in this world, I was trying to heal myself because I had a lot of gut issues, bronchitis 15 times by the time I was 19. So hence I had lots of antibiotic use, lots of gut issues and headaches and acne and leg pain. And so after I went to a holistic practitioner many, many years ago, that fueled me to be more interested in health coaching and utilizing more holistic therapies. And so that's what I started down the road. And then I became a nutrition response testing practitioner, about 6-7 years ago, and been using the muscle response testing. And that's been amazing. And because of systemic, I've been able to learn other protocols, such as incorporating fasting and using the lab work to look at what's going on inside there, and then using the muscle response testing to individualize it to the person. And it's great because systemic has amazing training, amazing support, and they have amazing products that I know that I don't have to worry about whether they've been third-party tested, and are they clean ingredients, are the raw materials healthy and free of pesticides and herbicides and heavy metals and things like that. So utilizing all of that with my clients is huge. And I see a lot of clients that are working on gut, or they may come in with skin, but got to look at the gut. They may come in with blood sugar, and we got to go to their food. So I like to incorporate a lot of food education and meal planning sources and implementation into the lifestyle, and then using the supplementation to kind of bring that all together, along with some fasting protocols too. So the gut products with Bactrax and FUNGUS and L-Gut and Ezyme and Z-gluten, all of those have been fantastic to clear out those bacteria or fungal yeast, parasites, and that kind of thing, depending on what the client is dealing with. And all that's kind of put together, but I really love Bactrax and FUNGUS and BB and the Bind. Even prep phase is just a great place to get people started if we, may not know where to start with them. Sometimes just give them prep, because there's so much great support there.
I'm glad that you brought that up with not only those GI specific products, but also with prep. Walk me through that. If there is one of your clients that presents a specific issue and you conclude that they do have some gastrointestinal distress, whether it's irritable bowel syndrome symptoms, leaky gut, SIBO is a very common one. Are those the products that you would target at that time?
Yeah. Like I have a gentleman who's actually an auto mechanic, and we, when he first came in, he had a diagnosis of Crohn's and had it for a long time. And they were saying that if he doesn't get this under control, he's going to actually have a surgery to remove part of his large intestine. And I'm like, whoa. So I know that you and I chatted back and forth about him. And that is another brilliant thing about systemic. I can always message Mike, and Mike is there for me to help me through walking through a process for somebody. But I had his lab works. I didn't get everything that I wanted, but I at least got a good portion of his blood work. And then once I did a whole health history and an intake with this client, we did some muscle response testing, and he came up definitely with leaky gut and SIBO type stuff. So we worked on some gut purging, using the FUNGUS and Bactrax, and support through Bind, WO oil. And then I made for sure that we got him on L-Gut to help with leaky gut syndrome. And eventually we moved him through Vista 1 and Vista 2. We used the FBR, which he loves FBR. He's been on that for quite some time. And he's like, I never want to be without my FBR. But because of, then we worked on food, we implemented some fasting protocols. And, you know, as some people know in the fasting world, we know that at 24 hours of fasting, you're healing the gut in, you know, using the body. And then the products, just using the products while you're fasting is just, you know, I think it's like a double protection type of thing. So he incorporated changing his food, getting those high anti-inflammatory foods down and that food elimination diet, incorporating some fasting, and then using the products I just mentioned. And over a course of about 6 months, he lost like 25 pounds. His symptoms went away of very loose bowels every day to having normal bowels. I think it's been about a year that we've been working together. And his doctors are pretty surprised at how well he's doing. Now, they claim it's some of the medication he's on. I think he's only on 1 or 2 things. He was able to get rid of one, working with his doctor, not with me. But so he's doing well. He just checked back in with me, I think about 2-3 weeks ago. And he's like, hey, I feel great. I can't believe how I'm, you know, doing as well as I am. He's kept the weight off. But he's eating really great foods. So he really changed that diet along with the supplementation, but he is still testing for certain things. So NZ has been a good, big part of his protocol as well.
Okay. What you had mentioned multiple times there, I think is key. And often practitioners ask about this for further guidance, is not only along the lines of what products or supplements to be used, but anti-inflammatory foods.
Yeah.
And while I think most of us have at least a general understanding as to what an anti-inflammatory diet would consist of, there's not always clarity there, and there's not always the best resources available out there to find out that information. So if you don't mind sharing, what are some of the key foods that you incorporate that really make a big difference for a client like this?
Yeah, well, if I'm not testing, we know that the top 7 high allergen foods are, you know, corn, soy, gluten, grains, dairy, peanuts, sugar, and eggs could be up there, the top 7. But when I test, I can specifically find out what it is for them. And for him, it was dairy and grains. I mean, he just does not do good on those at all. And so he's eliminated those. Now adding for him too, we added in fermented foods. So kimchi and sauerkrauts, and with the products with systemic, we can rotate those probiotic and enzymes. So when I'm testing him and revisiting him, we rotate and we see what he wants. And I'm so excited for the new line that's coming out with all the biomes, because I think he's going to be one of my biggest candidates for using those biome products, because he needs to rebuild his small and large intestine with all of his inflammatory issues. So eliminating those foods that I just mentioned is huge. Now, is that going to be that someone's going to do that forever? Well, in his case, I think he kind of needs to. He has, you know, gone out to dinner and had that piece of bread, and then the next day doesn't feel as good and that type of thing. But, you know, for everybody else, I think a 90-10 rule, 90% of the time we're eating high quality, organic, grass-fed, wild caught, you know, no inflammatory fats, you know, no canola oils or vegetable oils or those types of things. And just keeping high quality sugar down is what we want to do. But we got to live life. And sometimes you're going to be in situations that you got to be realistic. You're going to have something off plan. And there's guilt and shame don't serve us. So don't make yourself guilty. So, yeah. But for someone like himself, I mean, he was having diarrhea, you know, 5 to 10 times a day. Yeah, it's pretty important that he's consistent on that go around, because he's had so much damage.
At what point did you determine to transition to the next phase? of rebuilding? Now that he's gone through the elimination process, then when do you move on to the rebuilding phase?
Well, you've helped me with that. You know, Dr. Carly Burton has helped me with that, but the muscle testing too. So when they come in and they test for, you know, MBC, and Vista 1 and 2, you know, then that's what I put them on. So the muscle response testing with the nutrition response testing stuff is key for me.
Okay.
You know, eventually I want to be able to do more virtual so I can be a little bit more mobile in my life. But for right now, that muscle response testing is key to figuring out, okay, is this individual ready to go on? It's even like when we do detoxing with people, not everybody's done with prep phase after the first month. Sometimes they need to do 2 months of prep. And that's where the muscle response testing has been super, super important for me, because I can assess whether or not they're ready to move on.
And for those who may or may not be familiar with what goes into prep, what's prep? You know, it's a box, it's a phase that consists of 7 different products. So not just one product, and it's packaged conveniently. It's easy for people to follow through with. It's a month's supply. And there's a lot going on in there, which is why I can see where you deem it appropriate to maybe continue it for another month.
The biggest thing about prep, it's so convenient.
Yeah.
And, you know, sometimes you test somebody and they need everything that's in it. And I'm like, well, this is easy. It's a one little pouch, take twice a day. It's simple. But more importantly, 90% of the people that come through the door either have diarrhea or constipation or both. And, you know, so what prep is doing, it is supporting all of your organs and those pathways, because if those pathways aren't open, you're not going to get rid of the bacterias or the fungus and all that kind of stuff that you're trying to get rid of. So prep is so amazing to just give the body in this on a cellular level and the organs, prop up those elimination organs up so we can get our bowels moving. Because first and most importantly is that you got to be pooping. Can we say poop on here?
Absolutely. You have no idea the kind of text messages I get in this position. And
I used to have poop emoji slippers until they kind of got wore out that I would wear in my clinic, you know, it's got to be commonplace, you know, you got to know how the bowels are moving. But prep is amazing for that. But then giving people their energy, I mean, through MORS and e-energy and repopulating the gut with MBC, all of that stuff is just, I don't know. I love prep. I do prep a few times a year just to do it.
It's an optimum wellness package, really.
Yeah, really, it is.
It really is. And I like that you pointed out that for like a GI specific protocol, if we're going to focus on the gut, if that's our main focus, prep could actually be a prelude to that. Because like you said, it's really opening the pathways for detox, whether it be bacterial, fungal, viral, parasitic, heavy metals, anything really pathogenic or unwanted substance in the body that you're trying to remove.
A lot of times I will add DV3 to it.
Okay.
Especially this time of year. And sometimes, you know, L-gut, but and then for some people, I may not do prep right away. I may do a gut purge first. So where they're doing, you know, WO oil, bind, backtracks, FUNGDX first, and then do the prep. It kind of depends on how they score in the heavy metal area and that kind of thing, and chemical issues. But I mean, everybody's going to be different. And I just ask the body and I follow that. You
had mentioned one product in particular I know you've had a lot of success with that others in this group may not have yet or may not know much about it. Maybe you can shed some light and some details on it, and that is L-gut, which is designed around leaky gut and the tight junctions and of the duodenal wall and everything. But maybe kind of walk us through how and why you've used L-gut.
Well, you can see on their questionnaires, you can see on blood work that people have leaky gut and they need that support. So L-gut is a great thing to heal and patch up those tight junctions. And that's why I always, it's a support. It's a great way. And people usually end up being on that for a while. I believe L-Gut has glutamine in it. Is that,
Guys, yeah.
yeah. Yeah. So I've always known glutamine to be healing for the gut. But the people who test for it usually have, if you look at, leaky gut symptoms, which, is it SIBO? Is it leaky gut? Is it, what is it? They tend to test well on it. So it is a product that does test quite often.
For gut motility as well, even in the sake of like constipation.
Well, my guy with Crohn's, L-Gut and FBR are the two main ones that consistently test for him.
FBR, so your guy that loves FBR, that doesn't want to go without it. FBR consists of mostly all sprouted fibers. And so as a prebiotic, it's very helpful because it feeds the microbiome of the gut and helps stabilize blood sugar, as fiber does, suppresses appetite. And I think mostly in terms of gut health, it's just super helpful to have a diversity of fibers. You're not only looking at one or two different types of fiber, but there's a conglomeration or a formula of different sprouted fibers.
He always comes and see me because he wants his refill of FBR. Well, that's good. One other thing is my favorite product though is VV and DV3 together.
Oh, okay.
Those two are amazing.
Tell us more.
Yeah.
What is it about VV and DV3 that you like?
Well, on blood work, you can see viral, and I always want to get their vitamin D levels, especially living in Minnesota. I mean, just about everybody comes through the door is low, and they're not just low, they're really low. And, your viral you can't get rid of your viral load very well if you have low vitamin D. So you need to work the two together. And VV, if you do 3 a day for 10 days, and then you do 1 a day for 30 days along with the DV3, and you can either muscle test or get the blood work to really know where their levels are. But DV3 is not just a D3 product. It's got that vitamin A and zinc and herbs in there and support for things like the thymus. I mean, it's an immune product. I love DV3 because it's not just D3. So many products on the market are D3 or D3 and K2. You need both. And the supporting other nutrients in DV3 is huge for getting down that inflammation and getting the body support to kick the viral out. And I've seen people do their labs. They have viral and low vitamin D. I get them on this protocol, and some will go get their labs, 2, 3, 4 months down the road, and it's all improved. So we've had really great luck with those two products. Now they're doing other things too, but those two in particular for the viral load.
For anybody that has any further questions about the protocol that Beth just shared with us about the VV and DV3, I think she spelled that out really well. But if you have any questions, post those below. If you have any questions about any of the other products like L-Gut or FBR, the fiber, or any of the other like gut purging products that we briefly discussed, feel free, post questions below, tag us, and we can chat more. But we appreciate you joining us in this video today.
Well, thank you, Mike, for all that you guys do and Systemic as a whole. You're a great company to work with. So I appreciate it.